This story is a psychological occult horror that explores forbidden rituals and the primal fear within human nature. It follows a man who, after following his friend into the basement of an abandoned building, witnesses an ancient ritual and becomes entangled in a fate deeper than he ever imagined. Readers will come to realize through this story that true terror arises, not from the outside, but from within. At 2 a.m., Young-soo stepped into the basement of an old, abandoned mental hospital on the outskirts of the city, accompanied by his friend Tae-woo. Rumors had long surrounded this place. People claimed dozens had entered but never returned, and some said those who saw strange symbols inside had lost their minds. Young-soo half dismissed these tales, but Tae-woo was obsessed. He spent nights poring over ghost forums and supernatural blogs, even digging up old hospital records that listed the names of former patients. He had gone as far as searching local archives and discovered a mysterious 1950s medical record left by a vanished doctor. The final entry repeatedly stated, "Heart, pulse, gate, open." The staircase to the basement was rusted and crumbling. Each step creaked ominously as they descended. Dust-covered newspapers and unidentified medicine. Bottles littered the ground, and a broken wheelchair sat in the corner, tangled in cobwebs. The ceiling lights didn't work. They relied solely on a flickering flashlight. The floor was slick with moisture, and every breath was filled with the stench of mold. Stains, dark red like dried blood, streaked across the walls, signs of some horrific event long ago. The air hung heavy, as if soaked in rotten blood, and a cold current ran down Young-soo's spine. Clutching their lone flashlight, the two continued into the depths. Tae-woo had long been obsessed with the concept of the ritual. He collected forbidden grimoires and, recently, had acquired a document called The Witch's Legacy, which spoke of a sacred ceremony. It claimed that offering the 13th heart would open a gate, connecting the world of humans and demons. Tae-woo copied the phrase at the top of his journal and repeated it daily. He deprived himself of sleep to prepare for the ritual, his mental state growing increasingly unstable. Shadows clung to his face, his lips cracked, and his speech grew more and more twisted. At some point, he stopped speaking Korean altogether. At first, Young-soo thought Tae-woo was joking, but as he watched Tae-woo slice his finger, burn parchment, and chant in a strange tongue, the mood turned grave. The air thickened with a suffocating weight. Symbols etched into the walls began to tremble faintly, and a chilling draft crawled down Young-soo's back. A black mist crept from the floor, and shadows on the walls began to move independently. As the ritual reached its climax, Tae-woo retrieved something from a jar. It was a heart shriveled like dried leather, its surface cracked and blackened. It fit in the palm of a hand, and within its wrinkled tissue, bizarre runes had been carved. It looked like a relic cursed by ancient magic. "We now have the 13th heart," Tae-woo whispered, his voice echoing as if layered. Suddenly, the walls of the basement began to vibrate. A tremor, like a heartbeat, pulsed from beneath the floor. The glyphs on the altar started to glow red. The light slithered along the walls, forming shifting, almost sentient patterns. Twisted shadows spiraled around Young-soo. Time seemed to slow, and a rhythmic thudding echoed in his ears. "Tae-woo, what does this really mean?" Young-soo asked, unease thick in his voice. Tae-woo did not reply. He stared blankly at the altar before muttering, "You opened the gate. The final heart was offered through your hands. The flow cannot be stopped." "What are you talking about? Why me? You planned all of this." Then Tae-woo's eyes turned crimson. His voice shifted. "I'm not Tae-woo. When did you ever hear my name? I am simply a shape taken from your memory, the one you trusted most, the one you let your guard down for. Only then would you open the gate. Taewoo's face distorted and his form melted, dissolving into mist. Young-soo tried to flee, but the door was already sealed. The room warped, and black smoke billowed from the altar. From within it emerged a figure faceless, cloaked in black. And behind it, dozens of eyes blinked in the dark. It called itself the Shadow. The 13th heart is complete. The gate has opened. The Master of Darkness approaches. Young-soo screamed for mercy. He pleaded that it was all a mistake, that he had no idea. But the Shadow whispered, "There are no mistakes. You are chosen, or rather caught in the flow. Your heart is now ours." The Shadow offered him a single choice. If you want to live, bring another key. Someone you trust, someone you love. They will be the 14th heart. Young-soo hesitated. I won't do that." The Shadow laughed. "Then your heart shall remain here, forever, and the pain will never end." The ceiling trembled, and the walls cracked open. Curses hissed into his ears as if whispered just behind him. A child's cry, mingled with tearing screams, filled the air. Pale skeletal hands burst from the walls, dragging him down. Each touch sapped the warmth from his skin. "No, stop, I'll do it. I'll bring someone." The Shadow grinned. "Very well. The pact is sealed. You shall return for now. But remember, we are always watching." Young-soo awoke in his room. The clock read 300 Mawar. A thick fog pressed against the window. The ticking of the wall clock was unnaturally loud, and a dreadful silence clung to the air. On his bedside table lay a piece of parchment from the ritual. He was sure he had left it in the basement. It was damp and smeared across the surface. In blood-like ink were the words, "It continues." "Just a dream?" The phone rang. Young-soo answered. "Are you ready to offer your beloved, Young-soo?" The call ended. He felt someone watching him. At the end of the dark alley outside, barely lit by a flickering streetlight, a figure stood, one eerily similar to the Shadow at the altar. Young-soo stepped toward the window, then paused. His heart was still beating, but it no longer felt like his own.